I was 17 when this happened and I'm 36 now. This kid I went to school with was charged with murder. I don't remember his name, but I'll call him John. John and I had an art class together, and this was the type of high school that had a mounted TV in every classroom. John was a normal kid, or so we thought he was. He was a bit of a bully, but he never bullied me, but he did in fact break a classmate's arm. From what I heard, he pushed him down on the floor with such force that John managed to break the other kid's arm. John got suspended for 7 days or so, but he wouldn't be back at school. During his suspension, John killed his mom. I remember my day starting as a normal everyday humdrum school day. When I got into art class, my art teacher had put on the 12 o'clock news. Right in the middle of the news broadcast, John's face popped up. The guy reporting on the story said John had killed his mom. The entire class was dead silent when this was being aired. Apparently, John killed his mom with the bar of a dumbbell set. He left her body in the room and had turned on the AC on full blast. One of his friends must have discovered her body because he had some friends over for a party. To this day, I still don't know if he's a free man or if he's still in jail. This happened to my mom when I was in elementary school. We live on a big farm and the lane is really long. My mom always picked me up in my elementary and my middle school years. The entrance to our farm lane sits between two very big hills. All of this is relevant to the story though. You probably heard of the snipers that shook DC, that Muhammad guy and his little 15-year-old friend. My mom, we'll call her Sonia, worked at a place called Ground Round, a now closed restaurant near the mall in my hometown. She was working the late shift there when two men came in and were seated in her section. At first, Sonia and her guests were having a good time, joking and kidding as she usually does, but the conversation turns to the snipers in DC. The two men ask for her opinion about them. Sonia turns to them point blank and called them cowards. These men were angry at that, but nothing else was said. Time skipped to the afternoon of the next day. My mom was in the old farm truck, waiting for my bus to come and drop me off. A bit more of information though. I was almost the last one to get off. She was at the end of our long lane when a blue car comes past. It slowed down on the other hill to the right of our lane, coming to almost a complete stop. Sonia had the strong instinct to duck and she dived into the seat, almost to the floorboards. She crawled out to the passenger window and peeks out, seeing the car has turned around and was coming back to do another pass-by. She remains on the floor, waiting for the car to go away when she remembered I was coming home on the bus. She panics when she glances out the driver's side window to see that the blue car is gone. She sits up just as my bus comes over and drops me off. I was none the wiser all of this happened only a few minutes before I got home. It was a few days later when my mom recognized the men and the car when the snipers were caught at the rest stop on a news broadcast. This was after the woman in the Home Depot was shot and killed. My mom never told me this until years later when we were watching a show about the snipers. I shudder to this day of what would have happened if my mom hadn't ducked when she did, or was in our family van that had a console in between the seats. I sometimes think I would have came home to find my mother dead in the truck, or worse, the two of us dead if the snipers caught us when the bus dropped me off. I really do hope I never have to experience anything like that on my own, but my own life is beginning. May everyone, please, trust your gut instincts and be very observant of your surroundings. It may just save your life in the end. So this story didn't happen to me, but it did happen to my mom. Let me start off first by saying that at the time of this story, my mother was going to college at Texas Tech. She was getting a law degree. I forgot what year she was in though. One night, my mom was walking back from her tennis team's practice, thinking that she was all alone. There was no one on the streets and the streetlights were on. At one point, she started to feel suddenly uneasy and decided to take a glance behind herself. What she saw made her become very wary. A tall, large man was walking behind her a few meters away. I recall her mentioning that it wasn't strange to see another young adult walking around at night, but this person didn't seem very young. Judging by this man's build, she estimated that he was around 30 to 50 years old. It was definitely not a college professor since most of them aren't out at this time of night and are much shorter than this man was. Just to double check that it was just a normal pedestrian and not a creeper, my mother decided to pick up the pace. She was now speed walking down the street. A loud sound of shoes hitting the ground behind her caused her to turn around and see that the tall man was now sprinting towards her. Noping the fuck out of there, my mom booked it. Due to her being very athletic, she managed to stay a good 5 to 7 meters ahead of the guy. He too was quite fast. Taking a sharp turn around the corner and running into our apartment building, she quickly unlocked the door, ran inside and locked it. My mom didn't turn the light on so the man wouldn't think she was in there. Next to the door were 2 large windows with see-through curtains. Peeking through the window, she saw the man approaching her apartment. Thinking quickly, my mom purposely fell to the floor and shuffled next to the wall. She was laying there, so in case he were to look in, he wouldn't see her. And yeah, that's exactly what he did. Apparently, his shadow could be seen through the curtains as he leered in. The guy stayed there for what seemed to be like 20 to 30 minutes, before backing away. A note was slipped under her door, and then he was gone. My mom didn't get up until she knew for a fact that he was indeed gone. Getting up and looking around, she double-checked to make sure that the man was gone. He was definitely gone. Feeling relieved that the guy had left, my mom decided to see what was on the paper. The piece of paper was blank with a few words written largely in the middle. The note read, "A hard man is good to find." Apparently, the creep had revered an old saying, "A good man is hard to find," to that. Yeah, my mom went to the police the next day and filed a report. They took her statement and the note, and they said they would keep an eye out. I don't recall if they ever caught the guy or not, but I guess the world will never know. Okay, so this happened to me last year. Keep in mind that this is told in the perspective of a female. I started school at the local community college. I was looking to make some new friends since I've never really had the opportunity before. I was the weird fat kid throughout elementary and high school. College was a chance for me to reinvent myself, to actually make friends and fit in for once. It's college, no one really cares if you're weird, they're just all trying to get through finals after all. Well, I had this class with one kid. Let's call him Creep, because that's what he was. Anyway, me and Creep had our ITE class together. I'd see him every day, but I didn't really talk to him much. He stayed in his corner of the room. I sat up with my friend, which was an older lady that we'll call Jay. I had a TARDIS backpack. Yeah, I know. It's not bigger on the inside, by the way. Anyway, he saw this, and he said it was cool. I said that was cool, and we talked a little bit about our interests as we walked to our next class. He was a cosplayer, as was I, and we both enjoyed BBC programs along with anime. He seemed friendly, and I went on about my day. Things got uncomfortable after that. He started showing up everywhere that I did. Mostly, he would invite himself to lunch with me and my friend. He was disgusting. We went to lunch one day and he ordered this burger with peppers, onions, and mayo. Mayo is the enemy of my existence, mind you. He didn't use napkins, and the thing smelled terrible, and he wiped it on his already dubiously stained pants. It wasn't pleasant to say the least. He kept popping up in places and inviting himself to lunch, and I was just beyond done with him. I have a habit of attracting weird people. I really don't know why. I was just ready to cut and run if it came to it. Anyway, he invited himself to lunch with me again when S wasn't present. He said he had a crush on S, and I knew S already went through a bad breakup. I told him to leave her alone, but he was insistent on me seeing if she liked him. I said no, leave her alone. He left after that, and I enjoyed my shitty spaghetti. Then the really freaky thing happened. I was leaving to go to my car alone one day, and ran into him. We talked a bit as I was trying to get away from him, but he was insistent on talking. Eventually, I tried to excuse myself saying that I was going to my car and I'd talk to him later. He followed me. He said it was fine and walked with me toward my car. He then proceeded to tell me a funny story about him getting drunk and punching his crazy ex in the face. Like that would totally impress me or some shit. I did what any normal person would do. I looked him in the eye and said no. Got in my car and drove off. He fucked off after that and left me alone. That wasn't really the creepy part though. No. I learned this a few weeks ago. He's killed someone before. Apparently, he got into a fight and stabbed someone in quote-unquote self-defense. The circumstances were more than shady though, but the police in my area does fuck all. The guy the creep stabbed ended up dying. So, yeah, I was stalked by someone who killed another person. Ain't I lucky?